Good morning. Thank you so much for the beautiful song. We want to start our session with a word of prayer, wherever possible. Let's kneel down for prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you so much for being with us, guiding us through this week as we looked at this issue of Sunday laws in history, and as we look at current events in light of Bible prophecy. We ask for you to speak to us, help us to know that you have been with us, and you will also be with us through the coming crisis. Bless us and guide us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. This morning we'll be talking about the 21st century Sunday law movement. We have talked about, traced the history of the 4th century Sunday law movement, and we talked briefly about the 19th century Sunday law movement. And I would like to start with reading a text from the book of John. John chapter 16, verse 3. The Bible says, "And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me." What will they do? Verse 2 tells us, "They shall put you out of the synagogues, yet the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God service." So Jesus here was speaking about a crisis of persecution that will come upon Christians way in the future. And this prophecy was fulfilled in the dark ages, and it will be fulfilled also on this planet in the future. How far into the future? Only God knows. And I also want to start off by drawing your attention to the fact that the plan that the enemy has to rule this world and cause the world to worship him, the Bible has revealed that to us. And in Bible prophecy, in the book of Daniel, we find a very interesting account, a miniature model of what is going to happen in this planet. In Daniel chapter 1, we see a kingdom introduced as Babylon that ruled the world then. And the way they rule the world gives us snippets as to the plan that the enemy has to rule the world in the end times. So how did ancient Babylon rule the ancient world? So I think I need to paint this bigger picture before we look at what is happening in our world today. We remember that Babylon controlled the education. It captured people, and after it captured people, then it went and put them through a 3-year system of education, and in an attempt to change their mindset. But they did not succeed with the 4 Hebrew boys. But I just want to highlight that in order to control the world, Babylon controlled the education. Babylon also controlled the food in Daniel chapter 1, verse 10. It is the one that decided what diet should be recommended for the elite, the people who are going to be future leaders of the kingdom of Babylon. In chapter 3, we see that Babylon controlled the entertainment industry. It basically controlled the music. It was able to tell what kind of music, and the whole purpose of controlling that music was to finally lead the world to bow down and worship the golden image. In Jeremiah 27, Babylon controlled world politics. Babylon is the one that decided which king should rule when and how. Babylon collected texts from different nations. That's how it became the golden city, a city of wealth. And what was the real agenda? Why did Babylon get into education, controlling all these aspects of society? It was so that it could lead everyone to worship the golden image in Daniel chapter 3. So what we see in Daniel chapter 1 to 3 is a miniature model that the book of Revelation uses in the end of time to give us a miniature picture or a bigger picture of Satan's global agenda for our time. In the book of Revelation, we see a system that is still called Babylon. It's no longer literal Babylon, it is spiritual Babylon. And this system is portrayed as ruling the kings of the world. It's going to influence the politics of the world until it takes full control of every country in this planet. It's going to also influence the economy of the world until it has complete control of world economy. It's going to control the politics of the world. It's going to control the economy of the world. And that is the picture that Revelation 17 and Revelation 18 are portraying about this system called Babylon. Since 2020 lockdown, a lot of things have changed in this planet. The world that we had before 2020 and the world that we now have are two different worlds, as it were. A lot has happened to initiate major changes that I'll be talking about in our time today. But the attempt is control the politics, control the world economy. And in Revelation 18, verse 13 and 14, we see influencing the food industry until it takes full control and decides what can be grown. I think it's very common knowledge that in Africa we used to grow our own foods. We were very strongly agricultural. And big corporate organizations started taking over the agricultural sector, growing in mass production to such a bigger extent. And then we learned after the Russian-Ukraine war that our prices of maize meal in South Africa skyrocketed. Our price for sunflower oil was going high, and we were asking questions. Why are we buying this thing so expensive? They told us, well, Ukraine and Russia were supplying the majority of your food production. So we were shocked that we're getting maize from Ukraine and also sunflower oil and other food commodities. So it shows us this globalization of the food industry has an agenda as well. So the entertainment industry is also going to be under the control of this system that is called Babylon. It is quite interesting that there's been a lot of things that have been spoken about the lockdown 2020. And it's quite interesting that there were Hollywood movies that seemed to suggest that before it happened. That is just quite an interesting coincidence, or rather a pandemic, as other people have called it before. So what is the agenda? What is the bigger issue? Why is there an attempt to establish this worldwide system of government? The whole idea is revealed in Revelation chapter 13 and also 17. It's basically to lead the world to form an image, and in simple layman's language, it's just basically to prepare the world to be able to worship the beast and the dragon. The bigger agenda is worship, and how that worship be achieved? It will be through enactment of Sunday laws. Now, we talked about the 4th century Sunday law, and we also talked about the 19th century Sunday law, and yesterday we talked about the progressive steps in Ellen White's writings that basically were very clear that Sunday law is not going to come as just one event. It's going to be very progressive. We saw yesterday that there will be a Sunday business closing law, which is going to lead to reverence or honor Sunday, and then worship on Sunday, and finally a death decree. There are many other things that I mentioned yesterday that I would like to re-emphasize this morning before I look at what is really happening in our planet. And if you recall, what we also covered yesterday was that what led America to desire a Sunday law in the 19th century was the political unrest in America. There was civil war, and then you had 3 organizations, the National Reform Association, the Women Christian Temperance Union, and the labor unions. All these 3 organizations mobilized campaign for Sunday closing laws in America. And they wanted to establish a theocracy using the polls. And they basically succeeded in getting political candidates in office. And what stopped them from enacting a Sunday law at a federal level? We have discussed the challenges on that. If you missed that, I would encourage you to go and watch the previous presentations. So you look at America in the 19th century, and we fast forward, we look at America today in the 21st century. America today is going through major issues, and among them is a lot of immorality. The liberal left, or the radical left, as it's politically called, has basically pushed the pendulum on one direction. Legalizing porn, the LGBTQI movement, and enforcing it even in the school curriculum. When I went to speak in Seattle, Washington State, in the United States 2 years ago, I was hosted by a family, and I saw that their boys seemed to have some kind of mental challenges, and I asked them, what is the issue? They said, well, this boy was forced at school to learn all types of sexual perversions. And that really disturbed the 16-year-old's mind. So that agenda has irritated Christians, and they're saying, it is enough, we want a change. And how would you bring about a change? So they are proposing to have a moral government and return the nation back to God. And there have been movements, several movements in America of Christian nationalists, as they call them, dominionists, as they call them, and evangelicals who are very conservative-minded, and they were behind former President Donald Trump's election in the previous administration, and they pushed his agenda forward. Donald Trump pushed their agenda forward, and we know that after former President Donald Trump lost elections, there was a lot of protest on January 6th right there at the Capitol building. And the investigations, as we have been listening to them, revealed that most of the people that participated is Christians, because they had still wanted more things done, and that was not able to happen. So they decided, okay, we are tired of being played games, so we're going to come up with a serious plan. So it's called Project 2025. This is Christian nationalists pushing to establish a theocracy in America. I'm just going to, before I even give you more details on this, review some things we covered yesterday, how Ellen White says Sunday laws will come, and then using the prophecy that she has made, we look at current events that seem to be going the direction that the spirit of prophecy said things will go. We read this statement yesterday. Our land is in jeopardy. The time is drawing on when its legislators shall so abjure the principles of Protestantism as to give countenance to Romish apostasy. The people for whom God has so marvelously wrought, strengthening them to throw off the galling yoke of popery, will by a national act give vigor to the corrupt faith of Rome. So here she speaks about the fact that when Sunday laws come, it will be through a national act. This is just a side note. I think somebody forgot to press the timer here, so it's not ticking. So that's just for the media. So what we see is that when Sunday laws come, it's going to be a national act. And she said this national act is going to lead to a religious amendment to the Constitution. We read this statement yesterday. If the people can be led to favor a Sunday law, then the clergy intend on exerting their united influence to obtain a religious amendment to the Constitution. So it's going to be the people of America wanting it, and then they will want a religious amendment to the Constitution. So these are the things that I use when I'm studying current events to help guide what news are relevant and what issues I can look up for, because I'm not a prophet. All I need to do is read prophecy, read current events, see is what is happening, the one that is fulfilled or not. So in this statement, she mentions the efforts of the Sunday keepers to push for the Sunday law. How will they try to do it? She says the dignitaries of church and state will unite to bribe, persuade, or compel all classes to honor the Sunday. So she's basically saying these people are willing to do anything to get their agenda done. Bribery, persuasion, compulsion. That is what she's saying. The lack of divine authority will be supplied by oppressive enactments. Political corruption is destroying love of justice and regard for truth. And even in free America, rulers and legislators will yield to, the popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday observance. Quite interesting. If the people can be led to favor a Sunday law, then the clergy intend on exerting their united influence to obtain a religious amendment to the Constitution and compel the nation to keep Sunday. So, summarize these points. Number one is going to be the National Act. Number two, and this act is going to demand a religious amendment to the Constitution. Number three, the people of America will have to be led to favor this idea of a theocracy. And bribery will be used. Leading ministers of these mega churches will be playing a role in this. So the question is this happening or will it be happening? What are we seeing currently? Now, I hinted to the fact that I'm going to talk a little bit more about Project 2025. You can go on YouTube and you'll be able to see that this is not just a concern of us who read prophecy. It's a concern of many people in America, CNN News, Forbes, and different types of news channels are discussing this 2025 project. This is from Forbes. She says Project 2025 is a multi-pronged effort spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation with the help from other conservative organizations. They are documenting that there's more than 100 conservative organizations that are funding and are behind this Project 2025. It is aimed at preparing for the next conservative administration, namely a second Trump administration, which has primarily garnered criticism for its 900-page policy blueprint proposing a total overhaul of the executive branch, which was first released last year. So with Project 2025, they said we need to sit down and come up with a serious policy to take over the United States politics and to guide governance. And the Heritage Foundation is not a small organization. I will touch a little bit about it a little bit later. And what is their motivation? Now listen to this and compare this with what happened in the 19th century. Quite interesting. They are saying the actions of the liberal politicians in Washington have created a desperate need and a unique opportunity for conservatives to start undoing the damage the left has wrought and build a better country for all Americans in 2025. It is not enough for conservatives to win elections. That's what they say. We are going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left. We need both governing agenda and the right people in place to carry this agenda out one day of the next conservative administration. They're saying America is corrupt because it's corrupt. We need to change it. We don't want only to have politicians that we vote into office. We want to tell them what they must do when they get into office. And that's why they developed this 900-page document that many people have read, and I have not read it myself. And in that blueprint, as it is called by the news articles, it is an 180-day playbook. The project will create a playbook of actions to be taken in the first 180 days of the new administration to bring quick relief to Americans suffering from the left's devastating policies. So they have documented. So what is this? What is their agenda? What is their plan? Their plan is very simple. We are going to criminalize pornography, ban porn, ban the LGBTQ laws and remove all of them. And then something quite interesting to us as Seventh-day Adventists. They say we want to introduce Sabbath laws. And then economic solidarity and corporatism, and then stewardship of nature. So that's why this article that was released was asking a question: legalizing morality, restoring the Sabbath, how Sorab Amhari wants to mend our broken thread of tradition. And among them is this desire to establish a Sabbath. So that caught my attention, and I looked it up. I said, okay, so what is this thing about Sabbath that they want to do here? And they say in this mandate for leadership for 2025, God ordained the Sabbath as a day of rest until very recently, the Judeo-Christian tradition sought to honor that mandate by moral and legal regulation of work on that day. Moreover, a shared day off makes it possible for families and communities to enjoy time off together rather than as an atomized individual, and provides a healthier cadence of life for everyone. So what are they saying? They're saying, well, we used to have a Sabbath. They're talking about Sunday in which everybody rested. I mean, we want society to all rest on Sunday. And we want that, we don't want people taking different days off because we wanted to have family time. And they're saying Congress should encourage communal rest by amending. So how are they proposing that Congress should deal with this Sabbath proposal? They are saying by amending the Fair Labor Standards Act to require that workers be paid time and a half for hours worked on the Sabbath. So their plan is, okay, what we want accomplished is we want, if somebody is working overtime on Sunday, the company should pay them 1.5 times per hour at their rate. So it means that it's going to be too expensive for companies to basically request people to work on Sundays. So as a result, companies will have Sundays off so that they could save more money. So that is what they are proposing should happen. And I now need to share with you that there has been a lot of things that have happened in America, and one of them is, of course, Donald Trump was convicted this year, and he was supposed to be going to jail. And when that happened, I did not know what was going to happen. We were just praying for the Lord to guide the politics of America and give us more time. As these things are happening, in my mind, I'm saying, Lord, give us more time to work. I'm not, some of people like me who preach on prophecy and stuff like that, they wish that a Sunday law could be enacted tomorrow. And that is not God's plan. The long suffering of God is salvation. The work needs to be done. So when I see events that seem to be leading to enactment of Sunday law, my prayer is, Lord, give us more time. The world needs to be reached. I need more time to be ready. And that was my prayer. And we know the assassination attempt that happened with Donald Trump. And after that, he started trending. He became very, very popular as a political candidate. And this study that was done by the Pew Research Center basically shows that virtually the majority of the white evangelical Protestants and also Catholics are for Donald Trump. And the reason is because he has promised them several things. And among them is a revival of Christian power. And that is the speech that he made to religious broadcasters. And I want to quote what he's saying. He says, if I get in, you are going to be using that power at a level that you have never used before. Donald Trump told the annual gathering of national religious broadcasters in Nashville. And he's basically promising them more power. And not only that, so how will they get this power? So what is interesting with Project 2025 is that a lot of people that funded Donald Trump's previous campaign, some of the more prominent politicians who worked alongside the Trump administration, in the likes of even our Seventh-day Adventist politician, Ben Carson, and others, were behind the drafting of this 900-page document. And so it's very, very troubling because the polls are showing us that Trump is slightly lower than the other competitor. I just forget her name now. Kamala Harris, yes, slightly lower. She is at 45% now, and Kamala Harris is at 47%. So a lot is at stake, and some of it is due to Trump being linked with Project 2025. And he has recently denied any connection with it in his Instagram account. Trump decried Project 2025 on Truth Social in July, saying he has nothing to do with them and calling some of its ideas absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. So they are basically saying, Trump is saying, don't associate me with that. I'm not part of it. I've never been part of it. I don't know who is in it. And CNN has done a very interesting dismantling of Trump's statement, showing that the men who actually drafted this and who are part of Trump's administration, including the nominated potential future vice president, all of them are still part of this. And they are interpreting Trump's denial as a political move he's making so that he can get the nominations and the votes and implement this. Will Trump implement 2025, Project 2025? I don't know, only heaven knows. But when we see these things happening, we need to look at them and see whether this is going in harmony with Bible prophecy or not. Kevin Roberts, the director of Project 2025, flew with Donald Trump in 2022, and that is where the news journalists are saying that's when they discussed the issue. And also, there are several things that happened here. The current, the nominated potential vice presidential candidate is also involved in this. I think I mentioned this, J.D. Vance. He has much more closer ties to Roberts, and there's a lot that is happening here. What is the point? The point is there a movement in America that is trying to push for America to go to the direction of a theocracy? Yes or no? Yes. And where is this coming from? From Protestants. Protestants are pushing this, this agenda. And like I said, the polls are showing Kamala Harris at 47 and Trump at 44 now in August. And you can see a drop happened in July. That's why Donald Trump had to deny connection with Project 2025, as some political analysts are arguing that that is what led him to lose his popularity. And then that is what is happening in America. How about in Europe? You can look this up, European Sunday Alliance Movement. And this movement was established, this organization, in 1996. And so who are they? It's a European Sunday Alliance. It's a network of more than 100 national Sunday alliances, trade unions, employers' organizations, civil society organizations, churches, religious communities. And what is their agenda? They are promoting Sunday as a day of rest. They are saying we are committed for a work-free Sunday and decent working others. Why are they pushing for Sunday? They are saying to protect our health. Universities in Oxford universities, Cambridge University has done research that has proved that it is dangerous for people to work on Sunday. So that's why they are arguing. You can go and find the research studies that are published here. They are also arguing that we need to respect our families. The rate of divorce is high because people are not meeting together on Sunday as a family. So we want to force companies to close on Sundays. We want families to be together on Sundays. And let's just live together and be happy. So they are basically pushing for Sunday closing laws in Europe. In America is the nationalists, Christian nationalists. In Europe is this European Sunday Alliance. And then have they succeeded, the European Sunday Alliance? Yes, there are countries with Sunday closing laws. And some of them, you have Austria. Certain provinces or states in Austria have Sunday closing laws. In Germany, there are others. In Norway, in Poland, and also in some islands, such as the Cook Islands, the Tonga Islands, they have had these Sunday closing laws for years. Last year, I had an opportunity to speak at a camp meeting in the Fiji Islands, and as I was presenting this, one of the conference pastors, who is a pastor of a church in Tonga, came to me, and he had a very strange question. And his question was, how would you advise somebody in my position in light of what you said? Because in Tonga Islands, we actually go to church on Sunday, and we are Seventh-day Adventists. It's because of the dateline change. So when the missionaries started preaching to us, they told us that the true Sabbath is the Sabbath that the Americans keep. So, and that's when it's Sabbath in America, it's Sunday here because of the time difference. So in our minds, it's Sabbath, but on the on the calendar day, it's Sunday. And I just asked him, so what day do the other Sunday churches keep? He said the same day. On that Sunday, the government has legislated that there should be no work done. They have a serious Sunday closing law. And that is what is happening today. So there's been a petition that has been circulated to try and request the General Conference to intervene in encouraging those people to move it to the true Saturday Sabbath. I'm just saying this to share with you that the movement for Sunday is there. Now, how long will it take before we get to the real Sunday, like the proper one? I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be in 100 years. I don't know. But what I'm thankful for is, as I look at current events and what's happening, the Lord is giving us more time. The lockdown of 2020 led to the development of something called the Green Sabbath Project. And they basically said, we don't have to have lockdowns, it's too costly. Why don't we have one day in which we do nothing, and that day will, in principle, be Sunday? And the Green Sabbath Project is basically pioneered by the New Age movement. They are not Christians. These are just atheists and agnostics that are just basically arguing for a day of rest. And they're saying, is there nothing you can do about the environment? Nothing may be one of the best things we can do. One day every week, do nothing. And so there is a movement. So my point this morning is, as I look at current events, I see a campaign for Sunday as a day of rest. And it's coming through different groups in different places, and their campaign is, we want Sunday as a day of rest. And when I see this as a student who studies prophecy, and the prophet has said, people will be led to favor Sunday law, in my mind that is interpreted as there's going to be a major market to get people to want Sunday. And when I see that, I feel it my duty to alert God's people about that. The papacy has released the Laudato Si, and then the Laudato Deum, which is basically two encyclicals that, in a nutshell, are promoting climate control through Sunday observance. So, and he gives a Bible study on the Sabbath here, and then he says we should be keeping Sunday. So there are several things I could mention, but at least this gives you an idea of the Sunday law movement of our time. And then this is quite interesting. Another quite interesting thing is Dr. Klaus Schwab, the president of the World Economic Forum, wrote a book, COVID-19 and the Great Reset, and published it in 2020. His main thesis in the book is that the nations failed to address the global pandemic effectively, as this was a global issue. So therefore, what is needed is a one world government that has authority to enforce and address global issues. So he's proposing a one world government. And there are also central bank digital currencies that are mentioned here in relation to this new world government. And it's not just being mentioned. The European Central Bank is actively developing the digital euro, and the plan is for it to be rolled out by 2026. The plans for digital currencies are also being investigated in the United States. So the point I'm making is that the world is being prepared for a new world, and that is the direction we are going. As I showed in the beginning of the presentation, there's a global plan, according to Bible prophecy, to establish one world government. And then, are we seeing it happening? We are seeing efforts being made towards that direction. And in the light of all of this that I'm mentioning here, I'm really speeding forward because of time. I want to just give you some practical things that we need to do as God's people. One, Ellen White says in Selected Messages, Book 2, page 141, again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people are to take their families from what? From the cities into the country where they can raise their own provisions, for in the future the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. We are feeling it in Southern Africa. I don't know here in East Africa what you're feeling. Just in Botswana, a bag of potatoes, it's very, very expensive. And where we are in South Africa, we are doing something that I need to tell you about when I conclude this. We have bought 108 acres of farm, And we are doing some things that I would need to share with you that may help you in a practical way. The message of country living is not running away from the mark of the beast. It's to make your life easier as we transition into a new world. And they are very bold in what they want to do, and should the Lord allow them to get it accomplished, it's going to be very tough to finally buy food from your grocery stores. So we want to learn to grow our own foods and be more self-sustaining. And the elites, both in South Africa, in Botswana, and also in Europe and in America, are actually making moves towards purchasing property in the country. We had sent one of our staff members to go and buy fruit trees, seedlings, in one of the organizations, companies that sells that in South Africa. And when he got there, they told him everything that is here is sold out. And he asked them, but who has bought it? They said, one of the major politicians in Botswana. And he's bought all these trees, and he's bought a farm, and is going to plant them. I have friends that have been hired by the wealthy, the elite, the politicians, and they are buying farms, and they are planting lots of trees, drilling wells or boreholes, and these are not Seventh-day Adventists. I have friends in London that want a property out in the country, and it's very, very expensive because people are buying lands out in the country, and they are growing their own foods. It's happening in Canada, it's happening in America, it's happening in different parts of the world. And what are we saying as Seventh-day Adventists? Oh, that country living message is nothing to really be concerned about. It's just for fanatics and extremists. God has given us this message way before. And the world can see where we are headed, and they are making practical, necessary steps while there's still time to be ready. So you can still make efforts to be able to reach that. So this is the last presentation I'm doing today, and in the remaining few minutes, I want to just share with you the work that I'm doing in South Africa. We run an organization called Pure Light Missions. We have bought this farm in 2014, 47 hectares. The Lord worked miracles to get us this. You can go to our website, www.purelightmissions, to learn more about this work that we do there. South Africa, we are in a province called Mpumalanga, and it's about 2 hours drive from Johannesburg and Pretoria. And that's where the Lord led us to purchase this farm right there. And what is our plan, and why did we have to do that? We noticed that the division in the Southern Indian Ocean currently has 4.3 million Seventh-day Adventists. And in the SID division, there's a population of 220 million. So statistically speaking, there's only about 1.95% of Adventists in Southern Africa. We have less than 2% of the population of Southern Africa as Seventh-day Adventists. South African population is currently 66 million, and the population of Seventh-day Adventists is 189,000. So, which means for every one member, there is 348 non-Adventists that need to be reached. So the question was, okay, how are we going to help the church and work with it to accomplish this? So I thought of different plans, and one of them was to follow Christ's method. And to us, Christ's method was take a few people, train them in ministry, and let them out. And that's what we have done. So we are taking young people who are interested in missions, and we are training them there. We are located in a very beautiful farm. It has 2 properties, 42 acres, 17 hectares, and also 74 acres, 30-acre property. Our mission is to basically prepare young people to be missionaries and to be trained to take the gospel out and to be proud to be missionaries and do God's work. I know when I mentioned that to Africans, there is a challenge. And the challenge has been that black people don't usually choose to be missionaries. They are waiting for the Europeans and the Americans and the Canadians to come and be missionaries to the black people in Africa. And I felt bad about that. I said, why should the Americans come to be missionaries to our people Why can't I be a missionary to my people? I speak the language, I understand the culture. Why should the Americans come all the way and do the work that God wants us to do? So this is a picture of our group of young people coming from Namibia, Angola, Swaziland, Lesotho, Botswana, South Africa, Mozambique. We are training different parts of groups of young people from all walks of Southern Africa and training them in missions. Our program includes health ministry, and we also train them as Bible workers, and we train them to also do public evangelism. And anyone who is interested in missions is welcome. I mean, medical missionaries, we have a 3-year program that teaches you how to use health, herbs, water, and even your food to try and reverse some of the lifestyle diseases. Even Adventists, some of them who come through our training are those who are saying, I don't want to be like a missionary in the ordinary term of the ordinary sense of the word. I want to continue to be a professional, but I don't know my Bible that much. So I just want a Bible course. So we take them through our Bible course, and we also prepare people as evangelists. We have different industries to help sustain us. There we have a farm, which is an orchard. We have several fruit trees. We have apples, grapes, peaches, apricots. We have citrus fruits, your grapefruit, your oranges, your nachis. We also have your greens that we grow and also herbs that we grow in our farm. We also make our own peanut butter. We make our own macadamia nut butter. We also have a bakery where we make our own foods. We have a grain mill where we mill different types of things. And we have a vegetable farm here. How about a Pure Light peanut butter? So we make it and we label it and we sell it there. So this is just to try and get the people to understand our health message. Then we also go out to the churches. We work well with our local churches. We have a local pastor who pastors our church on campus. We work with different groups of people because we are working also with the Adventist World Radio. We do different presentations there that sensitize people on prophecy, health, family life, parenting, education, etc., etc. We also do books. And if you want to know more about Pure Light, you can visit our YouTube channel, Pure Light Missions, to be able to hear student testimonies. Just to whet your appetite, this young lady called Malika Cupido lost her father when she was 2 weeks old. And after her father died, her mother went through a depression. So her mother started going out with many men, and every man that she went out with, that man would beat her in front of this girl, and they will fight, and this girl was so scared. That's how she grew up. She was not a Christian. She was finally invited to join the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and then she became a Seventh-day Adventist. She really struggles, and my wife is a clinical psychologist, so we work together with her to build her life. And she's completely transformed. So we take people like her, and she has met Jesus. She's at peace. She's studying as a health ministry. And her statement is, I've been hurt so many times, I want to go and preach healing to other people. So Malika Cupido is a student who comes like other students. They don't have sponsors to help them through their school. But at Pure Light, we can't even send her home because there's no home for her to go to. So Pure Light is like a home for her. If you want to listen more about her testimony, you can go to our YouTube channel, From Shadows to Light. That is the title of that testimony, and you'll be able to learn more on that. We have various projects we are working on. We have infrastructure, conference center, dorms, farming equipment. If you want to help and you want to participate, we'll be interested in that. We are currently building a conference center. It has advanced. These are older pictures we have. And the Lord has provided resources for that. And we still need your prayers. And you're welcome to visit us there, and you'll be able to see. We also have plans to expand our dormitories because more and more young people want to be interested in missions. and we don't have enough. Our dorms are small, so we want to develop that. And you can still be part of Pure Light Missions because we have an online class program where people who want to study the Bible more, prophecy more, education more, can go on our online classes and you'll be able to learn more. You have interesting content, good quality, affordable, easy to follow. It's tailored for the working class to ground them in the Bible and prepare them for the coming crisis. So you can visit Pure Light Missions and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and you'll be able to learn more about the work. And I'm here in person. I'm the president and director of that organization, so anytime you want to talk to me, we can talk. Anyone is welcome to visit, see the place. It's a beautiful place in a beautiful scenery. So thank you so much. I've enjoyed my stay here in Nairobi, and I hope this Sunday Law series was helpful to you. I just thought it would not be right for me to leave this place without telling you what I do. And it's been wonderful. I'm going to enjoy the last Sabbath, and Sunday morning at 5, I'm flying back to meet my wife and the kids. So thank you. May God bless. Let us close our eyes for closing prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you so much for what is happening in our time. We know these are wake-up calls for us to rethink about our connection with you and see where we are headed. We plead that your Spirit may wake us up from a spiritual slumber for us to really think critically about what's happening so that we do not dismiss it at face value, so we are not hit with a surprise when it does come. May you bless us, may you guide us, and may you help us to be prepared for what is coming. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray, amen.